Hey guys, this is Josh for Top Hat Gamer, and this week I'm reviewing Assassin's Creed Unity. The first next-gen exclusive iteration of Ubisoft's long-running franchise gives players control of Arnaud Dorian, an assassin hell-bent on unraveling a conspiracy set during the French Revolution. What conspiracy, you ask? Well, when Arnaud was a creepy kid, his papa got, as the French say, le murdered, so he was taken in by Monsieur Delasserre and his young daughter Elise. Fast forward to adult Arnaud, and adopted papa gets le murdered, and Arnaud is framed and sent to the Bastille. Once he's free, he joins the assassins and gets baguette deep into a Templar conspiracy. The characters are kinda bland. Arnaud begins the story with a sort of clumsy charm, but once tragedy strikes, he's Batman, and becomes the least interesting character in any scene he's in. It's not hard for him to seem bland, especially when you meet a few famous faces along the way, like Napoleon and the Marquis de Sade. Elise is just flat out irritating. She scolds Arnaud for joining the assassins when she herself has kept her Templar affiliations hidden for years. She continually gets into danger, often after completely ignoring someone else's advice. The romance between Arnaud and Elise is pretty cliché, and never goes much further than this forbidden love between a Templar and an assassin. It also doesn't help that the mood is just killed in some scenes by weird graphical issues like this. Speaking of issues, the game is wrought with them. The framerate often dies in the arse when there are too many NPCs on the screen, or the combat gets too hectic, and it feels like you never get past 20 to 25 frames per second at any given time. This often leads to frustrating gameplay as you experience input lag. This is without even mentioning the more noticeable bugs. While I never ran into the infamous missing faces glitch, I fell through the world a couple of times and got caught on the geometry more times than I could count. Look at this mess, it's like Arnaud wants to be Sonic the Hedgehog. Despite all this, the game looks impressive. The many landmarks of revolutionary France have been lovingly recreated, and they're all really pretty. Also impressive are the number of NPCs featured on screen at any given time. It does cause some problems, but it's cool to see such huge crowds. Certain material textures look excellent too, as well as the character's hair. The details show a lot of hard work, but the game's basics hold it back. AC Unity features a lot of the same gameplay as previous games in the series. First off, you have your parkour platforming, which works mostly the same as before, but the big difference is that you have a parkour up and a parkour down button. When the system works, it makes the freerunning a more fluid experience that's easier to control. In theory. You see, the button descriptions are vague, and when you might want to drop down to a different level of platforms, for instance, the parkour down button could send you straight to the ground. The combat has also received an overhaul, and in an effort to make it more difficult, Ubisoft have removed the combo kill function. While it does make encounters take a little longer, it's not really challenging, it's just less entertaining. You do, however, get to choose from a variety of primary weapons, each with their own animations. While I like the selection, it feels like less than previous games. You can't equip knives, and you aren't able to fight with your hidden blades like before. You are able to fight solely with a rifle, which is neat, but you're required to unlock this ability first with skill points. On the topic of skill points, a bunch of abilities and techniques have been locked behind a skill tree. While I'm not against upgrades and skill trees, it's weird that so many abilities that are staples of the franchise aren't available from the get-go. Ubisoft didn't come up with many new skills, so things like the money pouch and even sitting on benches to blend in are locked until you spend the skill points on them. You can also get lockpicking or more health, but so many options are things that we already had in past games, like the double assassination. To its credit, the game does allow for a decent amount of customization. It basically lets you choose between playing stealthily, focusing on melee combat, or using ranged combat. The customization never seems that important though, as no matter what you change, most paths are open to you. Your clothing plays into this by buffing certain stats, and you can mix and match outfits as much as you like, but the feature is not without its issues. While a lot of this equipment is locked behind optional missions, too much of it is locked behind external sources. The game forces you to use the Unity Companion app, Uplay, and the Initiate site to unlock certain items, and that's not acceptable. Also really weird is the inclusion of microtransactions. While they're optional, just having the ability to palm money into this game really creeps me out. The game as a whole wants to give the players a choice on how to execute tasks. For example, the bigger main missions are quite open with multiple paths to take and techniques to use. It's a shame then that the customization doesn't play such a huge part in it. All skills are available no matter what gear you're wearing and vice versa. The minor stat changes don't even change all that much. Past the main campaign, the game does feature a ton of things to do. Look at this map. Without the main story missions, you have a plethora of collectibles, club missions, co-op missions, and my personal favorites, murder mysteries and Nostradamus riddles. There are also a bunch of chests to unlock, but as I mentioned before, a lot of these force you to use external bullshit to unlock. While we're on the subject of side content, Ubisoft put a lot of focus on Unity's co-op functions in the lead up to its release. The 2 games I managed to get into suffered from heavy lag and awful collision detection glitches, and every other time I tried to play, I waited up to 30 minutes for a game before giving up. You can't say I didn't try. The game has potential, but its many technical issues hold it back. Unity also takes a step back in its gameplay. Its combat is boring, and the free running is great when it works, but awful when it doesn't. On top of that, it has so many features from previous games locked away, padding the game out for almost no reason. There's a lot of content here, but until the bugs are gone and it runs smoothly, it's an adventure and frustration. Assassin's Creed Unity gets the top at gamer rating of mediocre. Unless you're a die-hard fan, wait for a price drop before getting this game. If you are a die-hard fan, then it's probably too late.